Hi, I'm JHobz. I am a speedrunner of a bunch of different games. I like to also call myself just like a very casual speedrunner of a ton of different games. Yeah, so the games I have spent the most time speedrunning over the years, or really I guess game franchises, are Kingdom Hearts and Crash Bandicoot on the HD collection. Specifically for this marathon, I'm going to be running Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, which is a fantastic speed game. It's, in my opinion, one of the best speed games of all time, even though it's like 3 hours. It's really fun, and the Kingdom Hearts series in general just has this really good variety to it where you have just a huge plethora of tools that are at your disposal from the game, and you get to use almost all of them in fun and exciting and unique ways throughout the course of an RPG speedrun. Category that I'm most familiar with for Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix is critical mode, any percent. Basically, critical mode is the hardest difficulty in the game. There's a lot of precise and tough to execute, but really cool to actually see done, like really flashy and really, high variety, like I was saying before. There's just so much to that speedrun. There's so much depth to it. I commentated this game for years, like since 2015. And I only just started speedrunning it last year. The level that it gets taken to once I started running it, where it's like, oh, and now I'm understanding that all of these strategies I've been spending years learning about, there are so many times where it doesn't go right and you have to be able to kind of change things. Or maybe your foot was, in the game was 2 inches too far to the left, and so it totally threw off like the spacing and the pattern of your attacks and the boss's attacks, and it changes everything about the fight. And that kind of level of detail is extremely intimidating at times, but also really fun, and keeps the game being super challenging even when you've gone through it a million times. Going from being a commentator to speedrunning this game has been, I'd say, a tough transition at times, because there are some games where you can learn what you need to learn for the commentary, and if you're spending a lot of time kind of like focused on research for that. And this game is not like that in my opinion, because everything is so particular, everything is so specific, timing is so crucial, spacing is so crucial, and because of that, even if you know what it looks like when it's perfect, you won't be at that execution level yet, and you're realizing that no, you knew 5% of it and you got to learn everything else. And because you know the best strategies, you feel like you should be able to do them right away, because of just like, again, because I spent so much time looking into them and learning about them so that I could present them to other people in a way that makes sense. And it's just not the case. Like, it's a lot of work to get to that point. It's been a tough transition. It's more recently become more of a fun one because I finally started to kind of crack through and see that progress. But it's definitely been tough for sure. Favorite ones are where those two things meet and you get a fight that looks impressive. It looks incredibly flashy, and it's a fight that maybe people remember being really difficult as a viewer, but also for the runner, it's satisfying. It has a level of execution to it that feels in your control, but only at the, if you're playing at your best. So the Roxas fight in The World That Never Was is one of the best examples of that. It's probably my favorite fight in the whole game. It is just the strategy I go for in it in particular is very cool. It's very flashy. You do all these weird things. And if it goes well, the whole fight's done in like 25 seconds or something, or 30 seconds. It's like really, really fast. Another good one is the core fight near the end of, like in the final fights, after you've beaten Xemnas for the first time, and then you go and have to defeat this wall and a few waves of enemies. I like that one a lot because it uses strategies that no casual player would have ever used. Summons that are very often not used in Genie for that one, and using Trinity Limit in a bunch of ways. And its strategy built around it is more about resource management and replenishment than it almost is about damage. which is a really cool factor that is often easy to overlook in this game. A drive gauge that is really easy to spend and run out, and you have to be able to build that back up. So in that fight, we use a limit, which uses your entire MP bar twice, like 2 different times. We use a summon once, which uses your drive gauge, and we use a drive. And actually, we use 3 limits in that fight, now that I'm thinking about it. So we build all those resources back up through the strategies and the techniques that are used. So those are some of my favorite fights for sure in the run, but also just really, really interesting ones that are extremely like fun to watch from a viewer perspective as well. So you can find me online on Twitter and Twitch. Twitter is at @J_Hobbs, and Twitch is JHobz296. If you don't remember those, I found out recently that you can just Google JHobz, and I'm like the top 3 things are my socials. So that's probably the easiest way for people to find me. Just Google JHobz.